Hey everybody, Moss here again with a look at stamina DPS builds. People ask me about their builds, and I can always recommend sets, and people want to go off meta, they don't want to run the meta sets, and that's absolutely fine, but there are certain numbers that when you're looking at your stats that you need to be hitting, and if you're not hitting those numbers, the build just isn't good. So here we're going to look at a stamina DPS character. I'm in Sotha-Sil, so this is in Sotha. This is how we judge our stats in Sotha. I am an Argonian Warden, Stamina Warden, and I am wearing 2-piece Blood Spawn. I'm wearing 7th Legion and Shackle Breaker. This particular build has a little bit more max Magicka and a little more Magicka recovery than you would have on a character, and a little more health than you would have on a character. So consider that to be sort of the low end. If you wanted to go even more damage, higher damage than this, this would be sort of a baseline. This is sort of more of the survivable, because, being the raid lead, I have to, I tend to gear a little bit more towards survivability. But this is sort of like minimums that we're talking about. Minimums for things like stamina, and maximums for things like maximum health, and physical and spell resistance and such. So I am wearing heavy. So if we look at my stats, so maximum Magicka. My maximum Magicka is actually really, really high. 1250. You don't have to have max Magicka this high. Sitting at like 900 or sitting at 1,000 is more than enough. It's totally fine. Same with Magicka recovery. You can have low Magicka recovery as long as you don't have any Magicka skills, like a lot of Magicka skills on your bar. This is something that you can sort of try out and test out. If you need more Magicka or more Magicka recovery, you can always tweak little things, right? So, for example, you might put one Magicka recovery enchantment on your jewelry, or you might want to run something like I have here, where I'm running Infused and I'm running Multi-Effect enchantment, the Tri-Stat enchantment. Maximum health, 20k, 21k is fine. 25k is really pushing it for how much maximum health you have. Anything more than that is a waste. Anything more than that's a waste. If your max health is at 30k, you're losing something somewhere, and you're gonna lose either you're gonna lose either damage or you're gonna lose recovery. And tanks are, no offense, right? But tanks are not good. Tanks are not good playstyles in PvP. People love to play them. If you want to be a tank, be a healer. Healers are tanks. There's no such thing as like a PvE stamina tank. It's just not really a thing. Health recovery, we generally ignore. People will have 500, 300, it doesn't really matter. Health recovery is not a stat that we ever really look at. So your maximum stat for maximum stamina here, I would suggest as a minimum 25k. At a minimum 25k. Mine is low because I'm running 3 Tri-Stat enchantments. So I get roughly 1500 maximum Magicka health and stamina. But if these 3 were all infused with a gold maximum stamina, they'd be about 1,000. So I'm getting 1,500 when really I could be getting 3,000. So this could be a little bit higher. I also have 1 ring that's set to Bloodthirsty instead of to Robust. So I'm losing out on another, like 800. So that puts me at like, 2,500 roughly. And I'm also running Shackle Breakers instead of a set like Bone Pirate. So I'm also losing maximum stamina there. So sitting at like 25, 26 is like a kind of a minimum. When you get to be 30,000, that's really good. And there's also builds that you can do where you push it all the way to like 40,000. But that's where you're getting into that glass cannon, where you deal lots and lots of damage, but you go down really quickly. You have low recovery, you have low maximum health, you have low resistances, and you go down really quick. So sitting at 25,000 is a minimum, and then 42,000 would be like the maximum. Stamina recovery. So when I am fully buffed, so this is with my potions, and this is with all my stamina recovery buffs that I have, I sit at about 1480, and I do not think that it takes into account the Betty Netch. So I don't think it takes into account the Betty Netch. But this is kind of a minimum of what you should have for stamina recovery. If I wanted to, I could easily throw on a stamina recovery enchantment. I'm all weapon damage right now, but I could throw on a stamina recovery enchantment. And again, running Shackle Breakers instead of a set like Bone Pirate kind of hurts me in stamina recovery. But if you're sitting at 1800, I would recommend 1800 for like a newer player. I would even recommend as high as 2200 for newer players. The idea with having high stamina recovery is it gives you a chance to make more mistakes and still have the stamina to sort of recover and be able to escape or execute and do these other things. The lower your stamina recovery, the more efficient you have to be with your stamina, and you have to make sure that you're not wasting it. So going up to 22, 23 stamina recovery is absolutely fine, and even recommended for new players. Weapon and spell damage. So these two I can kind of talk about the same, but I guess we'll make a video for Magicka, so we'll talk just about weapon damage. Here I'm at full rest, and I'm sitting at about 3,000. If I, however, get all my buffs going, I think those are the only buffs that are going to affect this, I sit at 36, and when my 7th Legion procs for 488 weapon damage, I go over 4,000. Over 4,000 is where you want to be for stamina DPS. If you're not getting over 4,000 weapon damage, you're really not doing the kind of damage that you want to be doing. If fully buffed, you're sitting at 3,000, you're going to hit like a kitten. You're not going to be able to kill people. You're not going to have the damage. And if you're sitting at 2,000 fully buffed, well, like that's not a thing. Like you're like I'm not trying to be mean or anything, but if your weapon damage is at 2,000, you're just not really doing anything. You're running around, you're not really doing anything. Right? As a stamina DPS, you're not getting anything done. Weapon crit's not really a thing in PvP, right? There's not really any crit builds, so sitting at 25% crit is absolutely fine. Physical and spell resistance. So fully buffed again. So I'm a warden, and I have blood spawn. So when my blood spawn procs, I sit at like 26k. And keep in mind, the maximum is 33. 33 is where you sort of hit your max. So 20, what did I say, 26? So 26,000 physical and spell resistance is really good. That's going to be me being pretty tanky. In addition, don't forget that because I'm a warden, I also have this minor protection. So that's not, reducing all my damage taken. That's even more mitigation. So that is pretty good. If you're sitting at fully buffed, if you're sitting at like under 20,000, you're just squishy. So if you're a newer player and you want to, be a glass cannon, trying to get to 20k is recommended. But the lower that it is, the weaker you're going to be. And then critical resistance. So the critical resistance cap is 3.3k. So I have impenetrable on everything except for I have these infused tri-stats because I like to play maximum stats, right? Because I even have, I'm pretty sure on this character, I even have my Undaunted leveled, so I even get, another 6% because I'm wearing 511, so I'm getting another 6% max stats. But sitting at 1,000 at a minimum 1,000 crit resistance is important. But I could go even higher than that. Keep in mind, 3.3 is our number, and most healers are going to wear the transmutation set. It's called the Robes of Transmutation. I always forget to Google that. So Robes of Transmutation, that set, lots and lots of healers use this. It gives you 1,200 critical resistance. So keeping in mind that 33 is the max, right? If I get 1,200 on top of this, that's 22k out of 33. That's pretty good, and this will go up a lot more if I were to run in-pen on this. If you run all in-pen, you'll hit critical resistance cap, so you can absolutely go all in-pen. I just like to go for max stats because I'm a sucker for that kind of stuff. Yeah, so weapon damage enchantments, talked about that. I'm running poison, drain health poisons. Those are really good. When you're choosing your poison, you really want to kind of pick a thing that supplements other parts of your build. So if you don't have like unstoppable, like any kind of immunity to CC, right? If you don't have any kind of unstoppable, then running something like that is really good. What am I running? Drain health, minor breach, minor fracture. So I'm just trying to murder people. I'm trying to reduce their physical and spell resistance so I can kill them a little bit faster. And that's fine. And the same thing with potions. When you're choosing your potion, you want to make sure that you pick something that is going to help you sort of fill in the gaps. So if you don't have Major Resolve, Major Ward, you absolutely need those buffs. If you're a Stamina DPS, if you don't have Major Savagery or Major Brutality, you absolutely need those buffs. So if you're not getting them from your skills, that's okay. Make sure you're getting them from your potions. Immovable is also incredibly important too. So I went for like a health and stamina potion because I generally need a little bit more health than lots of players. And I also have another one too, Immovable and Vanish. This is when I'm doing small groups. Having multiple potions is also fine too, right? You can sort of swap between different stuff and see what works best in different situations. I only keep one on my quick slot bar at a time because the rest of it's all full of siege. But yeah, and so I think that's about it. So the last thing is just making sure that you practice your rotations, making sure that you know, like when you buff yourself and you run into combat, what kind of skills you can cast in what order, right? Here's my Netches, and then I Dawnbreaker, and then I Execute, right? Knowing your rotations for your different skills so that you can cast them in an order, right? And then bam goes the Dawnbreaker, and then my Executes. It's very important to know, your rotation so that when you engage in combat, you don't have to think. When you engage in combat, your fingers do all the work for you. Bam, Execute, and then spin to win, right? Like, I know exactly how it's going to play out almost every single time. It's very important to know. Timing is everything. Practice, practice, practice. All right, so I hope you found this interesting. I'm going to be posting more videos in the future about all different kinds of shit. I don't fucking know, man. But yeah, I hope to see you out there in Cyrodiil.